Yo, what is up, movie fans? My name is Andrew, aka Noezone, and today I'm going to be giving y'all my spoiler-free review of the brand new Sam Raimi movie, Send Help. And this is Sam Raimi's first horror movie in a pretty long time. And the last movie that he directed was Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness back in 2022, which I actually liked more than most people. I understand there's a ton of writing issues and it had a very troubled production, but I had a lot of fun with it and I loved his directing style of it. It's actually one of the few MCU movies that feels like a director's vision too. Like, I can clearly tell it's a Sam Raimi movie, just like I can tell the Guardians of the Galaxy movies are James Gunn movies. So needless to say, ever since Send Help was announced, I was already on board, especially when I found out what the premise was going to be, because it just sounded like my type of movie. And especially whenever I got to see the reaction on my girlfriend's face whenever she watched the very first trailer for this movie. And she was just so excited after watching that trailer because this movie just combines every single genre that she loves. So going into this, my girlfriend and I both had some pretty high expectations, and I am extremely happy to inform y'all that this movie absolutely lived up to those high expectations for both of us. And starting out with my positives with Send Help, and first up has got to be Rachel McAdams' performance, because she delivers a Oscar-worthy performance here, and I don't feel like I'm overhyping that at all, because she has to play this character that's just so against her type of roles that she normally plays. And so much of the dark sense of humor in this movie is delivered so well by her. She's having to play things crazy, she's having to play things super comedic, and she's having to play things emotional as well. And I feel like she nailed every single facet of what this character needed to be. And Dylan O'Brien matches her energy in the best way possible. And my main praise with his performance has got to be his eye acting, because there were so many moments, especially in one specific scene, where he has to convey emotions just through his eyes. It kind of reminded me of Robert Pattinson's performance as Batman, but not in the way that they're playing the same emotions, but just having to use their eyes to convey stuff. And also another thing that I'm going to put in the positive section is the characters that they're playing, Linda, Liddle, and Bradley, because not only are Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien just playing these characters to perfection, I just love the way they're written as well. Linda is just a character you can attach yourself to early on in the movie and just kind of cringe at too sometimes. Just a very fun, kooky, and memorable character. And just talking about stuff that was in the trailers, Bradley is just a straight up asshole. And I really like the stuff that he got to go through in the movie and the character arc that he went on. And just the premise of having an asshole boss getting stuck on an island with a coworker that he mistreated is just pure genius. And that kind of leads me to talk about how much I love the script for Send Help, because I think this movie is just very tightly written and keeps you on your toes constantly. Like, there were some plot points that I felt like I was kind of getting ahead of at times, but then it would just kind of do a bait and switch and I didn't fully figure out what it was. So I really appreciate that as someone who watches a bunch of movies. And while this movie could have been super predictable with it being such a simple and straightforward premise, I didn't feel that at all throughout the runtime, and I really enjoy where things go in the third act. And I absolutely love the note that the movie ends on as well. I also feel like because I love how tight this script is, I gotta throw in rewatchability in the positives as well, because this is a movie that is gonna get rewatched a lot in my household. I can go ahead and tell you right now. I mean, I'm going to be constantly checking of when I can get this movie on physical media, because me and my girlfriend are going to wear that Blu-ray out. Again, like I said, with our thoughts towards the premise of it being just our type of movie, this movie delivered on that premise, so we are absolutely going to be rewatching this one a lot. And the signature Sam Raimi cinematography is also going to go in my positives, because Sam Raimi moves the camera around in a way that just pleases my eyes. Every choice that he made behind the camera in this movie, I was fully bought into and just had a great time with. And without spoiling anything, Sam Raimi really finds a bunch of pockets in this movie to insert his signature gross out moments, where a normal director probably wouldn't make those work and they would feel forced, but Sam Raimi just makes them work for some reason. And I never felt like they broke the flow of the story at all. And another thing that I enjoyed about Send Help was the action that it does have. And while this is no action movie, I still feel like Sam Raimi did a good job of sprinkling in some action moments here and there, and all the sequences are fun in my opinion. I especially liked one that had to do with an animal without saying too much. And while the score for Send Help isn't like a groundbreaking Danny Elfman score, I still really enjoyed what he brought to the table with it. And I found myself humming the little riff that it does constantly on the way home from the movie. And like how I kind of mentioned earlier with how much I love the script for this movie, I think the pacing is very well done. There was never a moment where I felt like I was bored while watching, and the movie is just constantly hitting you with a good comedic moment, some horror sequences, and just this psychological battle between Rachel McAdams and Dylan Dylan O'Brien. So for an hour and 53-minute horror movie, which is normally a little longer than I would like, I'm normally an hour and a half to hour 45 horror movie type of guy, I feel like Sin Help did a great job with filling out that entire runtime. And of course, with the Sam Raimi movie, you're gonna have some great practical effects, and that's no different in Sin Help. Now, I wouldn't say that there's an overabundance of them, but when they are needed in the film, they are used very well, especially the blood, of course. And the last thing that I want to put in the positive section of this review is going to be the emotional value, or just how attached I got to the characters, because Linda Liddle is just such an easy character to get attached to, and she kind of works as this vessel. If you've had a bad boss before, or someone that's treated you bad at work, you can see yourself in her in a lot of ways. Now, obviously not everything she does is relatable, but it is a nice character to kind of look at and be like, man, I've had a boss that was an asshole like that before. And it's kind of fun to kind of imagine how you would handle this situation if you were put in the exact same shoes. And moving on to my mixed section of the review, this is not going to be long at all because I don't even have anything in my negative section. And the one thing that I felt mixed on, and I kind of touched on this earlier, is that there are certain plot points that are kind of predictable, but I will say some of those are kind of by design in the script for you to kind of half figure out, and then it hits you with another reveal later. So it ended up kind of coming back around for me, but while I was watching, there were some times within the dialogue where I'd be like, I kind of know where that's gonna go, and I kind of see where this is going. So I didn't guess the full picture by the end of it, so that's why I said earlier that I didn't really find myself thinking that this movie was predictable by the end. There are just some certain plot points you can kind of get ahead of early on if you've watched a bunch of movies, but I would not say that it's a negative at all. It's just something that I noticed on a first watch, and honestly, that could probably smooth over on a rewatch, to be honest. But getting into my final thoughts on Sin Help, I had so much fun with this movie. Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien deliver great performances, and they play off each other super well with a ton of chemistry. Sam Raimi's directing is also in top form here. This movie can be absolutely hilarious at times and then hit a 180 and be absolutely horrifying in another scene. And that is just very much my thing. And that makes this movie play very well with a packed out crowd, just like I saw it in. So I would highly recommend checking out Sin Help as soon as possible so you can see it with a packed crowd, because it makes it so much more fun in that setting. And even though it's only January, I'm pretty confident that Sin Help is going to end up in my top 10 by the end of 2026. With all that being said, that leads me to my scorecard for Sin Help being this, where I would give it 4.5 out of 5 stars and a 9.5 out of 10. And on my personal scale, I would say add it to the collection. But if you enjoyed my movie review of Sin Help, make sure you leave a like on the video. It really helps out the algorithm a lot. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for more movie and TV show content just like this. Share the video with a family member or friend if you think they would enjoy it as well. Leave a comment with your thoughts on Sin Help or your expectations going into the film. But that's going to do it for this movie review. As always, guys, it's been Noezone. Peace.